5 years?
I hope that we'll have a more global presence, and that the designers will come up with collections that are well made and are able to compete internationally, and would have an African influence in them. I think that's very important.
Interesting how success sits easily on some people. Our next guest rose from a humble beginning and is desirous to see others follow in his steps. Vich Vitalis Ezereako is a model, an actor, a director, and a project manager of Kilmore Foundation, and joins us on the journey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So what about your name? What's about your name, Vich? Vich Vitalis.
Okay, Vich Vitalis is a combination of Vitalis and Chekube.
Okay.
Chekube is my native name. So coming in the industry, I didn't want to be second guessed because I was an actor by the name Vitalis Ndubisi. So I wanted to stand out, and I thought about what could be the uniqueness that I would create for myself. So whenever I mentioned Vich Vitalis, oh yeah, we know him.
Because it's a commercial name.
Yes, it is. Vitalis is when I wanted to be baptized. So I can't remember. I don't know the name my parents gave. So the priest was like, is a white priest. It's like, oh no, this little child is so cute to be baptized by that name. Can I baptize him with my name? And my parents said, okay, fine.
Oh, so he happened to be, his name is Vitalis.
Yeah, his name is Vitalis.
Awesome. Wow.
So he baptized me with Vitalis.
So tell us about your early days.
Yeah, growing up it was quite challenging, but I thank God for my parents who were always there to caution us. I remember my mother always like, whenever I want to go to rehearsals, because back then in secondary school, after school I had to go for rehearsals, and coming back, I'll come back very late. Sometimes they tell me, where you're coming from?
Go back
and sleep there.
I love these parents, man.
I slept on the passage for...
They are my role models.
I slept my compound, they face me, I face you, right?
Yeah.
I slept on the passage. I can't remember how many times I did that.
Oh dear Lord.
And
just to get to where you are today.
Sometimes my neighbors would just take me in.
Your parents were amazing. Thank you, parents. Thank you for bringing this boy up.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
Would you recall some of the tough times you had? Right now, do you sometimes think about how you started, the tough times you must have gone through?
You know, when people say, I don't have 10 naira, you know, you tell some people you don't have money, don't believe. I was in that shoe where for a week you don't have any penny on you. You know, when you remember the word poverty, you run. I could relate why people could do anything not to go back to poverty, because it's not a good place to stay. You know, the depression that comes with it, the mental disability that you will get, it's not really healthy.
So let's talk about where you are now and why you're part of Kilmore Foundation. Tell us about Kilmore Foundation first of all. Why Kilmore? Because I know it's not Nigerian related.
Okay, Kilmore Foundation is Kilmore is a community in Ireland who they cater for communities. They're more concerned in developing communities in very rural areas. So I was shooting a documentary for Life in the Slum, because I grew up in Amokoko, like I said earlier.
Yes.
Amokoko, really Bajajara. So I wanted to do a documentary that would tell the story of these people. So in the process of shooting that documentary, I met a Reverend Father by the name Emmanuel Ikoko, who was a parish priest of St. Martin's Catholic Church, Amokoko. He told us a whole lot of things that he's been doing for people and how he really wants to affect the environment. I haven't been there, I grew up there, I understand. So I wanted to contribute in my own way to give back to the society in it.
So you're one of the directors of
Yes.
Kilmore Foundation.
Yeah.
Awesome, amazing. So what impacts have you made so far?
Yeah, the foundation has done quite a lot. Like, you know, unlike other foundations, we take 100% responsibility for every case that we come across.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have like 20 children that are on scholarship full-time. We'll pay hospital bills for the sick people that can't afford to go to the hospital. We also free prisoners from the prison. And currently, the most important one is, while we're shooting that documentary, there's this man we encountered who had 5 kids. The wife has been dead for 2 years now, never been buried.
Oh my
So they live in this very detached, uncompleted building. So we are in his case trying to give him a better life. So we also do outreach, talk about because the environment, the most common thing is drugs and child abuse and teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're running a campaign about teenage pregnancy and also go to secondary schools to enlighten the girls.
You've done so well. I mean, this alone you've just made my whole day. So tell us about your actor. I mean, you being an actor in Tinsel. When did you start off with Tinsel?
I started, the quest is to Tinsel started 2012.
Okay.
I remember I went for the audition, so I got called back. So I was so excited, like, okay, yeah, this is it. And only for me to get there, and it was an extra role.
Okay. Well, you must start from somewhere.
Yeah, it must start from somewhere, but personally, I loved Tinsel so much because of their professionalism and the standard of acting. So I wanted to do more there. So I got there. I was just acting the bar, and I turned it down for the first time. 2012, 2014, I turned it down again because I didn't want what they were offering me. So 2016 came knocking, and I answered.
So, you being as an actor, in what way has it been an eye opener for you?
Acting for me is wonderful. I like it because I'm able to tell someone else's story without being attached to the story, to that person's life.
Awesome. Your parents are still alive?
Yeah, they are still alive.
And they've seen how grown and how successful you've become.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vich, for sharing your amazing story. I mean, it's an eye-opener for me and some of the audience too who is listening to this. You are truly blessed. Thank you. And God bless your parents.
Thank you.
They say that good things come to those who wait, and there is certainly something gracious and mature about the caliber of designers and specialists like Ade Bakare, Frank Osodi, and others who have gone through the process of training and development rather than cutting corners. It seems to breed a quality of humility of wanting to carry others along, perhaps because of the experience teaches them not to lose sight of their beginnings. My question is this: why have we become a nation of people who cut corners rather than perfect the process? We don't seem to want to put in the time and investment, yet we want to reap the dividends. Our fashion industry is clearly blossoming. Lagos is on the map of a fashion capital, hosting international fashion exhibitions and increasingly exporting our home brands. Like many of us, I'm passionate to see this industry come into its own, in quality, not just quantity of produce. The key surely lies in the up-and-coming designers, producers, marketers, and so on. Today's trainees will be tomorrow's teachers. For the sake of prosperity, we must embrace not just a culture of specializing, but also of giving back, as with the Kinabuti Sisters and Kilmore Foundation. With that, we will see a generation of entrepreneurs and specialists who, like good wine, allow themselves to become mature and enriched with time and process. That's all we can pack into this week's edition of Mona Lisa. Till the next time, when we are sure to bring you another engaging lineup, remember, the good you do for others is like lighting a candle. It makes the world a brighter place.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
Still make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
Regulation exists to protect workers, public safety, businesses, and investments.
I feel there's a lot of power and influence that the SMEs have.
I say this with every sense of respect. Most of the people making policies for us as a nation have never run a business before.
We need to find a way to create jobs. It's almost turning into an epidemic.
We need to have a holistic strategy towards dealing with growing that sector.
We need to go back to the farm, it's fine. But then we need to invest in productivity. We can't be farming the same way we were doing in 1982 to 2020.
There's a very robust ecosystem around agribusiness now. But what has happened is there are not enough people, right, who understand how they can take advantage of those opportunities.
On Top Plus TV Africa News for this very o'clock, President Buhari don expand the Interim Management Committee for Niger Delta Development Commission. And 3 people don dey killed and 6 others wounded sake of Al-Shabaab attack passenger bus inside Mandera. And on top of Bodo Yibo saying 2 Iranians don't die after they test positive for coronavirus. My country people, you do well say you join us inside news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. And this one, I told we want some give on until this very o'clock. My name, na Destiny Momo. And President Muhammadu Buhari don enlarge the Interim Management Committee for the Niger Delta Development Commission from 3 to 5. And 1 new acting managing director, Professor Kemebrade Kumo Ponde, he don dey named to replace Joy Nune. The changes have been there announced inside the State House statement from Buhari media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, during by Wednesday. He said the 5 members for the committee now na Professor Kemebrade Kumo Daniel Ponde will be the acting managing director where they replace Barrister Joy Nune, the Cairo Ojugbo acting executive director project. Ibanga Basi Etang will be acting executive director for finance plus administrative. And Mrs. Caroline Enagbo, member, and Cecilia Bukola Akintomide, OON, will be former vice president with the African Development Bank member. And Professor K.D. Ponde will be the new acting managing director, now professor for medicine for the Niger Delta University, plus a former provost for College of Health Sciences for the institution. And President Buhari been done approve say the interim management committee could stay in place until the forensic audit for the NDDC been they conclude. And some Nigerian ministers have been there in Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport during by Tuesday to take supervise the process plus the screening for passengers where they come inside the country so that then go prevent the coronavirus spread. And then be the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, Minister for Aviation, Heidi Sirika, Minister for State for Health, Olorunnibe Mamora, and Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, plus Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk. Mohammed when been the address journalists during by the inspection, to he give assurance, say screening plus adequate surveillance, say it is ongoing for the major entry points inside the country to take prevent the spread for the virus. And Boko Haram, bad people on during by Tuesday, then began two communities when it is 6 kilometers from Chibok for Borno State, and where then take a bab over 200 schoolgirls for April 2014. And then say the terrorists began for Kwarangulum plus in Siha village as them bomb house and other property for the raid. And then say then carry troops so when them position for Chibok go the communities when the brigade day. And the talk man for Kibaku Community Development Association when it be Dr. Allen Manasseh, he confirmed the badness as he said the brigade still day ground as at 9:10 p.m. during by Tuesday night. And he said the brigade is scheduled for Kwarangulum and Nsiha village them. And they don't send the soldiers from Chibok go where the brigade day to take stop them, but then still they shoot. And Manasseh say the people when then they stay the area, the TRS, they go Chibok for safety. And he say it's too early to know people when they don't wound or die plus other details. And the Punch report say the bad people been done begin Kwarangulum plus December 5, 2019, and then Bab 5 people. And the bill for law to take establish the Ondo State Security Network Agency and the Amotekin Corp 2020 don they committed to the House Committee on Top of Security. And this is na sake of one robust debate for the benefit for the bill when they passed into law. And clerk for the House, but they Adeyelu been done earlier read one letter from the executive for the need to establish the security agency to assist for to maintain law and order inside the state. Speaker for the House, Bamidele Oleyelogun, and we commend other lawmakers for saying they cut short their recess for the second time to take attend to state matter. He yearned them to give the bill the desired attention for the view for benefit to the people. And the majority leader for the House, Jamiu Suleiman Meito, he yarn said the bill when them pass them into law, it go assist to take reduce social vices for the state. And the All Progressive Congress APC don't remove body from the protest for the Abuja House of one Justice of Supreme Court, Mrs. Mary Odili. And the party deputy publicity secretary Yekini Nabena and we yarn this one for news conference during by Wednesday inside Abuja. Yan says some protesters will identify themselves as APC supporters. They sponsored by the opposition party. And Nabena still described the protest as a bad plan to take a portrait by also APC governorship candidate David Leon and their supporters for very, very bad light. And in call on the judiciary make them ignore the opposition party. Why you? And the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, they don't elect a new speaker, Abraham Ngobere, and where they represent Brass Constituency 3. Ngobere, where they nominated as a speaker, as a motion, where they moved by Bernard Kennedy, and where be member, where they represent Sagbama 2, and he is seconded by Wisdom Fafe, and will be member, where they represent Kolokuma Opukuma 2. And in take over from Monday, Bobo Obolo, where they represent Southern Constituency 2. Oboloyan say in step aside as a speaker to give the way for lawmaker way from Bayelsa East Senatorial District for the spirit power to take a balance for sake of the Senator Doyediri Don Kolobi, the state governor chair.
And the Federal High Court inside Abuja don't fix March 25 for the hearing of the 1 billion naira fundamental rights enforcement suit where they constituted by activists plus publisher of Sahara Reporters Omoyele Sowore plus Olawale Bakari sake of their claim on top of illegit detention before their release inside December 2019. Sowore and Bakare, where then they prosecuted from the federal government on top of charge for treasonable felony, done for November 2019, instituted their separate suit against the Director General for the Department of State Service, Yusuf Bichi, plus the Attorney General for the Federation, Abubakar Malami. Even as said and granted them bail on 2 occasions from different judges, the defendants been only they released for December 2019 when domestic plus international pressures been mounted for the government to take obey court orders. For they resumed the hearing for their fundamental rights enforcement suit during by Wednesday, Justice Inyang Eko for separate proceeding don't fix the hearing for the 2 suits for March 25 after they grant the applicant for some process where they file out from time from parties. And so already been they present for Wednesday proceedings, but Bakari they absent. And one victim, Happiness Okoje, when the Department of State Service DSS locked for 9 days and then still forced 9 million naira from her hand for her waka with one Lebanese businessman when he stay in Nigeria. Charles McCall don't say they want a redress of about 350 million naira. And Mrs. Okoje, through her counsel, don't file one suit for the Federal High Court when they sit down for Benin on Wednesday, say they arrest her without a charge and then carry her illegally, go Abuja, go put her for one place when they no allow her to see her lawyers and family. And they don't carry the suit when Justice M. Umar put to body for Benin go April 27th after the adoption of one written address when both the applicant plus the respondent cancels them do. And the case when it don't bring a plenty talk from the public, it make we no go agree people gather for court inside the Benin as they say they want justice for Happiness Okoje.
She is demanding for justice of 350 million from the man and said that maybe she will be able to manage to, because every 4 years she renews this leg in London. She will go on flight, she will take treatment and everything. So that money, I don't even know how she will take her. She's 25 now, 27. How long that money will take her even for the rest of her life? She's 7 years. So the arrest came up when she was making demand after he had packed her out of the house and rented out and said he has been transferred to, there's a contract in another state. He wouldn't want to move her there because of her condition.
Our security agencies, also that was established by taxpayers' money, established by the Nigerian laws to protect the Nigerian people, have become a willing tools in the hands of foreigners to violate the rights of Nigerians. Because I don't see what I expect the DSS to have done was to have investigated this matter properly, hearing from both sides and taking the proper legal steps to bring this foreigner to justice.
When the citizen's right is breached, you have a right to come to court. And that's exactly what we have done. For 9 days, in an issue that has nothing to do with DSS, because we were acting on the prompting of a foreigner, kept this lady for 9 days. And we are seeing that amount to breach of our fundamental human rights. The court will look at the process, the court will look at what we have there, and we are hopeful that justice will be done at the end of the day.
And the Minister for Labour plus Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige Yan, say as they add Obodo Naija inside the list of countries under the U.S. travel ban, saying a shock to the country. And he described the ban, say they unwarranted sake of the contribution of Obodo Naija professionals to the U.S. economy. The Minister Yan, during by the visit for the United States Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Leonard, to in office just as the ambassador, Yan said the ban is temporary. Leonard don't say the visa ban fit dey resolved between the two countries if a certain condi bin dey meet up from the Nigerian government. According by her, Nigerians bin need to meet information sharing goals before they decide they go dey reversed from the US. And she said the ban na based on US concern on top of the need for information sharing and not be about character definition, plus say student visa no dey include. And the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria don't commend the federal government to decide to take aside the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
The National Vice President of Man Ali Madugu Yandesiyan inside Kaduna, the Kaduna State capital, during by one-day sensitization workshop for local manufacturers inside the state. Madugu Yan say if the agreement they properly implement, say it will boost the nation economy, attract investors, plus it will fight smuggling, plus grow local manufacturing.
Manufacturers in Nigeria that have a very major concern on the issue of Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed by Nigeria, and there is a lot on it that is going to affect also manufacturers. So the issue of sensitization is that we at MAN level, we have been advocating on how this thing could come without really affecting manufacturing sector negatively in Nigeria. Government should know what we are signing. Nigerian government should know what they are signing. They should know the pros and the cons. They should know the advantage and disadvantage. They should know the areas that we should improve in terms of manufacturing in Nigeria. That was why we are saying caution, caution.
And ministers of health from West African states, they don't say they want collabo to take a fight against the viral epidemic COVID-19, though they never confirmed the coronavirus palaver within the sub-region. But ministers of health inside the ECOWAS member states say they will do cross-border collabo among states. The West African Health Organization, WAHO, when then they give one update for the preparate when it day on ground, then tell people for the area, say them no go take them easy with the virus when it don't affect almost 70,000 people inside the world.
As at yesterday, because the situation keeps changing, we had 69,267 total cases, 99% of which were in China, but the cases spread across 25 countries. Asia, America, Europe, Middle East, Oceania, and as at Friday, Africa, because we do have one case in Africa. Following expert presentations on the global situation, the processes currently in place in the region, and laboratory preparedness, the ministers resolved as follows: strengthen coordination, communication, and collaboration amongst member states in preparedness for COVID-19 epidemic, including cross-border collaboration. Promote multi-sectoral national efforts using One Health approach to maximize impact. Implement robust measures to assure availability of critical medical supplies, including laboratory materials and personal protective equipment in the region.
Still for France, 2 Iranians, they don't die after they tested positive for coronavirus. This one another story when we show back. The African news and Libya internationally recognized the leader on Wednesday. They don't dash hope to sharply revive UN ceasefire negotiate after inside being withdrawn. And in saying talk of them to resume, they don't they overtaken by events and sake of Eastern forces, they don't continue to shell the capital. The one near-year-long battle for control of Tripoli, it don't worsen on Tuesday when the Eastern-based Libyan National Army, LNA, for Khalifa Haftar, being shelled the city seaport for the first time. The port is a major entry gate for wheat, fuel plus a food import, but it still be supply base for Turkey. When then done, they send arms, drones, trucks, plus soldiers to take a help. Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj fend off the LNA, with they supported by the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, plus Russian mercenaries. And I say like 3 people don't die on Wednesday and 6 others wounded during by one Al-Shabaab attack for passenger bus inside Mandera. The owner for the bus, Yan Capital News, say then still they look for the driver, will sustain wounded for in hand as in speed off. This incident is around 11 a.m. and 3 passengers died and 6 others are wounded. The driver will only give him name as Abbas and he this one for telephone. And one senior police officer inside the Mandera don't confirm the incident, and the bus have been they carry more than 60 passengers and take a go Nairobi. And U.S. Secretary for State Mike Pompeo been done do one camouflage to prosper African trade plus investment strategy plus a newly established developer financier. The U.S. International Developer Finance Corporation. Analyst Yan said the latter and Washington attempt for one alternative to Beijing's sweeping belt plus a road initiative where they find a way to take a link China by sea and land with the Southeast and Central Asia, the Middle East plus Africa. And information they come next, now our Obodo Igbo news. Will they come back now? And inside Obodo Igbo tori, 2 Iranians don't die inside the hospital after they tested positive for the new coronavirus inside the holy Shite city of Qom. The head of the City University of Medical Sciences, Yanma News Agency, this one, and during by Wednesday. Iran be confirmed on Wednesday, say they get 2 cases of the virus. Government spokesman Ali Rabia, Nayan this one, and shortly after reports say preliminary test for the 2, they don't come back positive. The health ministry Yan earlier said the patients don't dey for isolation. And Rabbi no tell us the country give the 2 people tell us the country where the 2 people they come from. But some reports suggest to say them be Iranian nationals. And hundreds of people don't start to come out to body from one cruise ship when they quarantine inside Japan on Wednesday, and sake of a plenty talk come up for the way Japan take the handle the seaborne palaver where the new coronavirus don't take affect more than 540 people. People when they don't die from the coronavirus inside the mainland China don't pass 2,000. But the number of a new case for there fall for 1 second straight day when it gives some people and it still help Asian shares and the US stock of futures to take a go up. China, when it be the world's second largest economy, they struggle to get their manufacturing sector back on track after they put a strong travel ban so that they fit stop the virus when it come out from the central province of Hubei late last year. And inside Japan, hundreds of people come out body from the British flag Diamond Princess cruise liner when it day Yokohama near Tokyo. And when it ended the waka when it started and when they quarantined the ship during by February 3 after one before passenger carried the virus from Hong Kong. Up next, FG State plus local government council don't share a total of 647,353 billion naira from the Federation account revenue. These and plenty others and of our business news. And inside the business story, the federal government, state plus a local government council don't share a total of 647.353 billion naira from the Federation account revenue for January 2020. And this one opened inside the statement on Wednesday from the Deputy Director of Press plus Public Relations, Henshaw Ogubike. According by Ogubike, the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, inside one meeting where they chaired by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget plus National Planning, Mahmoud Issa Duse, disbursed the fund to the 3 tiers of government. FAAC confirmed say for the month of January 2020, say significant increase for import duty revenue, while companies income tax, CIT, value added tax, VAT, oil and gas royalties and petroleum profit tax, PPT, being record decrease. And Ahmed Idris, Accountant General for the Federation, Yan says states plus local government councils then go receive additional funds from February sake of the implementation for the 7.5 increase inside the value-added tax and what they call VAT. Idris he make the assertion during by Wednesday when he been the yarn with the newsmen for the sideline for the Federation Account Allocation Committee FAAC 2020. The team for the retreat na efficient federation revenue allocation will be nexus for national economic diversification. Idris Yan said the federal government still remain committed to the increase for the contribute and for the non-oil sector to the nation revenue base. According by him, states itself they encouraged to tap into the vast potential and with plenty for their respective areas to increase their internally generated revenue. And still for front, on top of Plus TV Africa News, now our roundup on top entertainment plus sports news. Will they come back now? And on top entertainment, to read, they don't kill U.S. rapper Pop Smoke after one clear armed robbery. Los Angeles Police Nigerian Radio 1 News Beat say them being shoot one high for 90 program plus to present plus produce acclaimed science documentaries. Her business partner Nigel Hembest Yan say she don't die on Wednesday after one small sickness. And as we take end entertainment news, the very best on top sports they come after this small break.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal, and everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
In a world of overwhelming voices, where everyone has something to say,
it is important that we bring the core issues to the fore.
As we lend our voices to inspire, inform, influence, and provoke your thoughts and action.
We want to hear these issues and know what you are saying. This is not just women talking.
It is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
We take on topics some may consider taboo and want to sweep under the carpet.
We understand that what touches one touches all.
We know you have a lot to say,
so let's hear you.
And on top sports, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer say January signing Odion Igalo say he dey in contention to start the first leg for Manchester United Europa League last 32 game against the Club Brugge on Thursday. The Nigerian striker 30 making debut for the 2-0 win for Chelsea last weekend when he been come as a substitute. The deadline they show from Shanghai Shenhua fit today involved when the Reds travel to Belgium for the round of 32 and during by Thursday, February 20. The club say for their website, say fellow January signing Bruno Fernandes say they available to feature for United inside the competition, even as they represent Sporting Lisbon inside the group stage. The Portugal international benefited from one change inside the cup title rules for European games, and United being lifted the trophy inside the 2017 plus a victory for the Europa League. It could continue to guarantee one spot for the following season champions and league. And former Rangers and Aston Villa right back Alan Houghton, he don't announce in retirement from football for the age of 35. Houghton say in career for Rangers where he making debut inside the 2002 and he still go win one Scottish title with the Glasgow Giants. And he joined Tottenham for January 2008 when he win the League Cup that season, and before one move to Aston Villa inside the 2011 when he make 201 appearance before they release him last year after Villa been clinch promotion back to the Premier League. And Houghton still win 50 Scotland Cup between 2007 and 2016, and he enjoyed loan spells for Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, Real Mallorca and Bolton for different periods inside his career. And that's now our news roundup for events we shall during by this very o'clock. For more news updates, I beg follow us at Plus TV Africa on top of Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And it will make a bone get sense if you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will come back later and with more hot to this and we make background headlines. On a well done. My name is Destiny Momo.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to. Drop when you.
Sometimes things don't go the way you'd like them to. But do you just give up? Or do you stand up and get back to work? When you fail to score against your closest rivals at the top, how do you prove you're still number one? If you're Bayern, you get ready to catch Cologne off guard from the start. When your attack is fantastic but your defense is in disarray, how do you bounce back?
Wir müssen weiter dran arbeiten.
Dortmund brought in some old reliables and it looked like their hard work had paid off against Frankfurt. When you go 3 games without a victory, how do you get back to winning ways? Leipzig cruised by struggling Werder Bremen keeping up the pressure on Bayern. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, but some are tougher than others. Jurgen Klinsmann chose to walk away from his problems at Hertha. The result? Chaos in the capital before the Berlin team took on Paderborn. The tough, the tender, and everyone in between. Join us now for Matchday 22 on Kickoff.
When Cologne are doing well, their fans quickly have their heads in the clouds, daydreaming of European football and the like. And since Marcus Gisdol has taken charge, there's something behind all the talk. 5 wins from their last 6 games. That's no mean feat.
Even if our opponent is superior on paper, I'll still demand that my players put their football.
In the 5th minute, it was 2-0 thanks to Kingsley Coman. The Frenchman immediately on target as he returned from a 2-month absence through injury. And in the 12th minute, the 3rd goal, this time from Serge Gnabry. Bayern's lightning start was the fastest 3-0 lead any team has ever taken in the history of the Bundesliga. And they kept the pedal clamped firmly to the metal. Gnabry was beaten by the crossbar. Before the post foiled Joshua Kimmich just minutes later. The guests were far, far superior. With nothing to do in the Bayern goal, Manuel Neuer even had time to come out and dance around in the midfield. Half-time, and Cologne were lucky to only be 3-0 behind. In the second half, Bayern decided to ease up and allow Cologne to play. But 2 offside goals from John Cordoba were all the Billy Goats could manage. One Bayern player still wanted to keep the pace up. Serge Gnabry went and made it 4-0 in the 66th minute. His 9th goal of the season. At 4-0 up, Bayern really dropped down a gear. Grateful Cologne were permitted to join in the fun and even grab a consolation. Schalke loanee Marc Uth with the game's final goal.
We'd of course planned for something else, but it's hard to play against Bayern, especially with these world-class midfielders. We were constantly outnumbered and completely overwhelmed.
The first half, I have to say, was really good. We could have gone into the break 4 or 5-0 up.
I think that Leipzig, Dortmund and Gladbach probably turned their TVs off at half-time.
Ah, that familiar Bayern Munich charm. Still, if you walk the walk, you can afford to talk the talk. Isn't that right, Leipzig?
There's no doubt about it, Leipzig are among the Bundesliga's best, but they haven't won in 3. That's hardly the form of a title candidate. Still, against easily beatable Bremen, a victory should be no problem.
It doesn't matter if your opponent is good or bad, a win is 3 points.
32-year-old Julian Nagelsmann versus 37-year-old Florian Kohfeldt.
Of course I know Julian, he's doing a fantastic job in Leipzig.
Title contenders Leipzig went into this game clear favourites over Bremen, who are anchored in the relegation zone. But there was still work to be done. So Leipzig set about it. Konrad Laimer's tackle, high up the pitch in the 7th minute, brought them their first chance. In the Bremen box, but Marcel Sabitzer's shot was wasteful. And Nagelsmann's men were growing in confidence by the minute. Bremen were edging closer to collapse. This mistake from Marco Friedl sent Schick charging through on goal. Luckily, Kevin Vogt got there just in time. But set pieces continued to prove trickier to defend. So Schick doubled the lead in the 39th minute with his 5th goal of the season.
I don't remember any chance of Bremen, so I think we play very good.
Schick was right. Bremen's best chance came from a Leipzig player. By half-time, their coach had already had enough. Immediately after the break, Frenchman Mukiele made it 3 to crown an outstanding personal performance. Leipzig's focus now turns to their Champions League fixture against Tottenham.
It's good to see that the guys think on Wednesday that we have an important game as well, and we're happy today.
So, as expected, the title candidates rolled over the strugglers. Now to another top side who faced a rather tougher opponent, Dortmund versus Frankfurt.
Oh, Dortmund, a top team with top-class support and some top stars among their ranks. But as good as they are at going forward, Dortmund are prone to a mistake at the back, and it's costing them points. They've got their backs to the yellow wall, as Frankfurt coach Adi Hütter appreciates.
Dortmund have to beat us if they want to compete for the title.
Frankfurt could win, Dortmund must win. They've scored 20 goals in their last 5 games. All good if it weren't for the fact their leaky defence has conceded 11.
There's no other solution apart from work, work, work.
Hard work is exactly what they've signed Emre Can for. The German international is a workhorse. As is Lukasz Piszczek. The veteran and filling captain started in place of Manuel Akanji in order to stabilise Dortmund's defence. So, when the whistle blew, Dortmund put in a serious shift at the back. And once the grafters in defence won possession, they hastened forward to make it count. Frankfurt, though, put in plenty of tackles too. Some were slightly overzealous, like this Stefan Ilsanker challenge on Erling Haaland, which gave Dortmund their first chance after 10 minutes. Rafael Guerreiro was denied only by the post, after his free kick flew straight through the Frankfurt wall. Going forward, the guests offered little. Even Filip Kostic, usually such a handful, was dealt with comfortably by Emre Can. Dortmund were truly on top form. Perfect preparation for this week's Champions League match against Paris Saint-Germain.
We were concentrated for 90 minutes. We were in total control, and that's how it should be.
In the 33rd minute, Can found Guerreiro out wide. Frankfurt's defence was caught out by his cross. And before long, Lukasz Piszczek had hammered the ball in to make it 1-0. At 34, Piszczek is Dortmund's oldest and most experienced player. In his 309th Bundesliga match, this was his 19th Bundesliga goal. Hütter reacted to the pressure, bringing striker Bas Dost on for the second half, but it made no difference. Frankfurt were too sloppy in possession, and Dortmund were ruthless when they won it. Axel Witsel found Jadon Sancho in the 49th minute, and the Englishman crowned a brilliant counter-attack with a pinpoint finish. Frankfurt crumbled as the game went on, giving the ball away again and again, and inviting renewed, overwhelming counter-attacks. In the 54th minute, Achraf Hakimi linked up with Jadon Sancho, galloped into the Frankfurt box, got the ball back, and teed up Erling Haaland to make it 3. Now it's time for the compact.
On Saturday, Rhineland rivals Fortuna Düsseldorf and Mönchengladbach faced off for the 50th time in the top flight. It took Gladbach 22 minutes to get started. Marcus Thuram to Jonas Hofmann, 1-0. But throughout the first half, it was hard to tell that the fourth-place team were playing the 16th. Only 7 minutes later, Düsseldorf's Erik Thommy levelled the scores. 1-1 at half-time made for peace in the stands a day after Valentine's. But Gladbach came out fierce in the second half, reminding everyone why they still have a shot at the championship. Captain Lars Stindl made it 2-1 thanks to Thuram's second assist. Borussia had an extra week off since last week's match against Cologne was called off due to weather. The stored-up energy was let loose and Stindl was at it again, 3-1 with 15 minutes to go. In the 82nd minute, Florian Neuhaus completed the rout. Final score 4-1 for Gladbach. Not so lovely for the home fans, but the Foals demonstrated why they still may have a say in the title race.
Union's Alte Försterei Stadium in Berlin-Köpenick has established itself as an uncomfortable venue for travelling teams. This time, Bayer Leverkusen had the pleasure. In the 7th minute, Yunus Mali teed up Christian Gentner, who hammered it home in front of his fortress of fans. The promoted side were in the lead. But then out of nowhere, Leverkusen equalised, purportedly via Kai Havertz. 22 minutes played, 1-1. And it was extremely difficult to say whether Havertz or Union defender Neven Subotic was responsible. After the break, the Leverkusen fan block interrupted the main attraction, and it took until the final minutes for the match to really heat up as much. Bayer took their first second-half shot on goal 83 minutes in. Moussa Diaby made it 2-1. But 5 minutes later, Marius Bülter came to the rescue. That was the winger's 7th of the season, despite playing in the 4th division just a year and a half ago. Deep into stoppage time, Karim Bellarabi pranced through Union's box, and keeper Rafał Gieckiewicz's mistake gifted Leverkusen the win. He gave his all to make up for it in the final seconds, but to no avail. Union lost the match, but Giekiewicz didn't lose his sense of humour.
Augsburg versus Freiburg, a mid-table meeting of well-matched opponents. Last week in Frankfurt, the hosts were thrashed 5-0, so this time they were out to bounce back. Philipp Max put them in front 38 minutes in. Freiburg had over 70% of the possession and 20 shots on goal. But it wasn't until this slip-up from keeper Tomasz Kubek that Yannick Haberer could finally grab the equaliser. 1-1 the final score, an unspectacular end to an unspectacular Bundesliga match. Only less spectacular was the true low-light of the weekend, which was served up by Mainz and Schalke, a 0-0 draw that we won't bore you with any further. That's quite enough of that.
Wout Weghorst hadn't scored in 7 games before this clash with Hoffenheim. But thanks to Sebastian Rudy's handball, he got an early chance to end his dry spell from the spot. And he took it. 1-0 and an end to Weghorst's drought. Hoffenheim pulled one back just before the break through Christoph Baumgartner. But shortly after half-time, Wolfsburg were awarded another spot kick. And who else but Weghorst to take it? The Dutchman doubled his tally, this time going straight down the middle. After an hour's play, Weghorst went from converting penalties to causing one with this handball. Andrej Kramaric stepped up to level the scores a second time. But Weghorst had the final say and his hat-trick. Wolfsburg's winner at last. If you get to keep the match ball as a souvenir, you've no need for your shirt. So Weghorst gifted his to a young fan.
I saw him for the game with the warming up. He was already standing there with a big shield. Now today you're so happy and then you're in a good mood. And I saw the kid and what I said. And you make 3 goals and you win and it's extremely. But I thought the kid was only almost crying and he was so happy and yeah, good. That's even. Yeah, that's even more beautiful.
What a week it's been in West Berlin. After humiliation at home to Mainz last time out, Hertha returned to work on Tuesday morning to find themselves without a coach.
This morning we came all prepared for a new week, new challenge against Paderborn, and then we heard the news.
Jürgen Klinsmann had made a stroppy public exit, issuing a surprise resignation statement on Facebook without talking to anyone at the club. Understandably, his bosses were none too pleased.
I've been in the football business a long time, since 1986, and I think I have encountered a whole lot. But what happened on Tuesday morning, I've got to say, that was a first for me.
The day after his dramatic departure, Klinsmann seemed a little more reflective.
If I'd taken more time, if I'd communicated more with the Hertha leadership and gone through the whole situation, then maybe it wouldn't have happened like it did yesterday morning.
As quickly as he made his decision, he seemed to regret it. The club was not impressed.
It's unacceptable. Maybe it'd be excusable for a young person to do something of the sort, but in business, where adults are expected to make serious commitments, that should not happen.
In all of this mess, spare a thought for Mateusz Cunha. Away on international duty until now, Hertha's new signing arrived in Berlin only a day after Klinsmann's shock exit. With Klinsy gone, it fell to his assistant, Alexander Nuri, to take the reins in Paderborn. And things started brightly. 10 minutes in, the home side thought they'd cleared a corner. But Santiago Ascasiba picked up possession, picked out Dedrick Boyata, and the centre-back headed Hertha into the lead. Crossed wires between Christian Strodig and keeper Leopold Singeler at the back post helped Boyata to bag his second goal in his first season at Hertha. Then Cunha looked to have bagged his first goal for Hertha. But as Paderborn pointed out, Krzysztof Piątek had got his sports mixed up in the build-up, and the goal was disallowed. Still, new boy Nuri wasn't doing too badly. After the break, the hosts pulled one back, or rather Rune Jahrstein gifted the hosts one back. Some sloppy front post goalkeeping allowing Dennis Shrubany to slot home and pull Paderborn level.
No, it was just, I don't know. I have no explanation. It was just terrible.
Fortunately for Jahrstein, Jamilu Collins was about to match his mistake. Vladimir Derida's shot was parried to Piątek. His effort was deflected to his striking partner, and eventually Collins knocked it in, robbing Cunha of a debut goal in the process. Own goal, debut goal, either way, it was the winning goal. Heads up though, Jamilu, you're not the only one around here who makes mistakes.
I too make mistakes just like every other person. And for how it turned out, I apologise once more. Still, I wish you all the best, and I hope to return to Berlin again soon.
A perfect start for Nuri at Hertha. And a happy end to a week of madness.
Victory for Bayern, Leipzig and Dortmund. All three seem to be in good form for the Champions League round of 16 to kick off this week. Manchester City are also competing, but only for the rest of the season. The big headline of the weekend, UEFA does have a spine.
Manchester City have been suspended from the Champions League for 2 seasons for breaching UEFA's financial fair play rules. UEFA found the reigning English champions guilty of overstating sponsorship revenue in deals linked with the club's owners in Abu Dhabi. Financial fair play was introduced to prevent clubs from spending more money than they earn. Until now, there's mostly been talk and no action, but UEFA are finally baring their teeth. While City will appeal the decision, the ban will give the team extra motivation to win the current Champions League campaign. It could be now or never for Pep Guardiola and his men. But what about afterwards? Could Leroy Sané be tempted to return to the Bundesliga?
The City players might start paying closer attention to the table, but they wouldn't find much new this week. First to 6th places stayed the same. Hoffenheim slid slightly, and Wolfsburg made its way into the top half. What about down below?
Not much change down here either. The last 4 remain the same. Still, there were plenty of goals on matchday 22. And the goalkeepers don't always have it easy. Like we said, sometimes things don't go the way you'd like.
As Hertha's Rune Jahrstein knows only too well.
Still Spainley! How on earth did that go in? He can't believe it!
Paderborn equalised thanks only to his helping hand. It wasn't Augsburg's Tomasz Kubek's best day on the job either.
Schmid is around the wall, spilled by Kolbeck. It's fallen now to Harbour. It's in! Framberger got the final touch, and Kolbeck didn't cover himself in glory with the initial save.
Yeah, I try to do my best. Of course, I'm not in the best shape in my life, but it's normal, it's football, so I will work hard again.
And Rafał Gieckiewicz's blunder in stoppage time cost Union a point.
It's Bellarabi still. Oh, it's in! Amazing! How has that got in?
But at least he kept going and tried to make up for it.
That was the moment to be a hero.
Thanks for all the goals, thanks to the goalkeepers, and thanks for watching.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
It's a long story, man, because after I left church, because I love music so much, like I've loved music since when I was 9, from my primary school days, I love music. So I started working in a pure water company, where I was paid 15,000 naira in a month. I was earning very low salary then, but I had no choice. I had to do it because I had to pay for studio session, go to shows before you buy 1 or 2, bus score for you to wear when you don't finish, I went through so many challenges, man. After, I started working at Loot again, Loot, Lagos State,
Like what? In what capacity?
Yeah, health attendant, yeah. I worked for 8 years.
Wow.
Where I gathered all my salary just to make sure, everything went well for me. But thank God, after the OSU, so many dirty jobs that I did then, but thank God today I'm here, Even
while I was Waji, I was squatting with a friend. I couldn't afford a house. I couldn't afford an apartment of my own in my early years as a musician, and sometimes at some point it was from one friend's house to the other because you also have to be sensitive to some people. You get the way they go take change and for you said go find how you go, you understand? And even at that point, for every money that I made,
wow.
And then I was in the university. I had not even entered the university, but I was a church secretary. But that 1,000 naira was enough for me to buy baby milk at the time. because I needed to do what needed to be done.
Without being too specific, it's just when I was making the transition from working from my grandfather's house to my own space, I went from having a lot to not having so much. So I thought I needed to quit, but it was just even actual reasons for me to keep going. So I don't need people to just, if they forget anything, they should just understand that if they need to keep watering, they need to keep ensuring the soil is good, and it's seasonal, but they are made of the stuff that roses will grow from, so they'll be fine.
Being an entrepreneur in Nigeria has been very difficult. For me, I started my business over 10 years ago, so we're looking at about 12 years now. The challenges along the way have been, have been many, to say the least. But I think one thing that has gotten me through is support. So whenever you're trying to get through a challenging time, look for people around you who can support you. I have a very supportive husband and family. My parents have also been very supportive. It was tough in the early days, but I think also having a business mind. So it's one thing to have passion, which is great, but you have to support it with a business mind. Absolutely, if you want to succeed and if you really want to scale in your business.
On Plus TV News on this hour, President Buhari enlarges interim management committee of Niger Delta Development Commission. 3 killed and 6 others injured as Al-Shabaab attack passenger bus in Mandera. And on the foreign scene, 2 Iranians died after testing positive for coronavirus. Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Benny Ark. President Muhammadu Buhari has enlarged the interim management committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission from 3 to 5. A new acting managing director, Professor Kembre Dikumo Ponde, has also been named to replace John Nune. The changes were announced in a State House statement by Buhari's media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, on Wednesday. It said the 5 members of the committee are now Professor Kembre Dikumo Daniel Ponde, who is the acting managing director, replacing Barrister Joe Nune, Dr. Cairo Ojubo, acting executive director of projects, and Ibanga Bassi Etang, acting executive director of finance and administration. Mrs. Caroline Nagbo, member, and Cecilia Bukola Akintomide, OON, a former vice president with African Development Bank, member. Professor K.D. Ponde, the new acting managing director, is a professor of medicine at the Niger Delta University and former provost, College of Health Sciences of the institution. President Buhari had earlier approved that the interim management committee will be in place till the forensic audit of the NDDC was concluded. Some Nigerian ministers were at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Tuesday to supervise the process and screening of the passengers coming into the country in order to prevent coronavirus spread. They include the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, Minister for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, and Minister of State for Health, Olu Nimbe Mamora, and Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk. Mohammed, while addressing journalists during the inspection tour, assured the screening and adequate surveillance are ongoing at major entry points to the country to prevent the spread of the virus. Boko Haram insurgents on Tuesday attacked 2 communities located 6 kilometers from Chibok in Borno State, where over 200 schoolgirls were abducted by the sect in April 2014. The terrorists reportedly attacked Kwarangulum and Siha villages, burning houses and other property during the raid. But troops stationed in Chibok were said to have mobilized to the communities under siege. The spokesman, Kibako Community Development Association, Dr. Allen Manasseh, confirmed the development on Tuesday. Manasseh explained that the residents fled to Chibok for safety. The bill to establish the Ondo State Security Network Agency and Amotekun Corps 2020 has been committed to the House Committee on Security. This followed a robust debate on the benefits of the bill when passed into law. Clerk of the House, Bode Jamil Suleiman Maito, noted that the bill, when passed into law, will assist in reducing social vices in the state. And joining me live in the studio to deliberate on this further this evening is political analyst Francis Chilaka. Thank you, Francis, for staying with us still. Now, what do you make of the recent attacks in Chibok?
It is sad. It is really, really sad and painful. But one thing I'm still trying to grapple with is, what is there in Chibok? Chibok and Dapchi, what is there? Because the attack has been, focusing on Chibok within that environment. So there must be something there that some of us are not aware of.
Okay.
And then, based on that, I think that even other attacks going on, outside Chibok is more like a distraction. But there is something there that keeps bringing them back to that place. So the government needs to put its intel together and find out what is there. And then I keep asking myself, where were the military as at this time when the attack was done? How did they enter the place? Did they crawl?
Because one would have assumed, given the reprisal attack that's happened in Borno State and Chibok, that there would have been a military base station in that area.
Well, I know that I thought they said the command has been moved to Borno. So what is happening? How long will we keep letting blood in this country? Who are these so-called Boko Haramists? Who are they? If they are Nigerians, it's unfortunate that they do not have the blood of Nigerians running in their systems.
Yeah, okay. Well, what do you think our military or other security agencies, outfits are not doing right? Seemingly we're having reprisal attacks and kidnappings and killings across the country. What are we not doing right?
Intel gathering. We need to spend more resources in gathering intel. Because if they're getting the right intel, the military, the police should be more proactive in responding. But unfortunately, we keep waiting for the attacks to happen. We keep waiting for houses to be burned. We keep waiting for people to be killed before we now hear, oh, they have mobilized to go to the site. They should be proactive. They should have an intel.
And do you think the emergence of this security outfits like Amotekun and Shege Kafasa and also the Ogbunigwe, do you think they will solve most of the security issues in these communities, intel gathering, because they live within the community?
Well, initially when this security outfits were thrown up, they were supposed to be regional.
Yes.
And now you're breaking them down to the states once more. So I don't understand how effective that would be. It seems that we're afraid of this word.
Myriad of security challenges facing bedeviling our nation. Do you think the calling for the sacking of a service chief?
Security architecture of Nigeria, you will keep having that problem. Bringing people from different... Nigeria is made up of many ethnic groups, or regions, as we would say, 3 major regions. Bringing people. Ideas, knowledge is power. And I think that what they need to defeat Boko Haram is knowledge and power.
And do you think the fight against insurgency is overwhelming for our security agencies and the federal government? Do you think it's become overwhelming for them to handle?
With what has happened, yesterday, one can say yes. They're becoming. They no longer have the cohesion to fight. Maybe they're not being motivated enough. You and I know that when Nigerian soldiers, the Nigerian police go outside Nigeria, they do wonderfully well. So the problem we have is that they have not imbibed the spirit of internal protection. They have not. That's where the problem is. So we need to look at our men. I have a lot of respect for the Nigerian, the military, the police, the men and women who are in the line of fire. Maybe the government needs to encourage them the more. Because it's painful every week. You must hear some military men have been killed. Some civilians have been killed. Nobody is happy. Anybody who says he's happy about it has no heart, has no human feeling. Nobody is happy. Nigeria has never been like this. Those who are responsible for this, I pray that they also die of it.
All right, quickly, in just 30 seconds, we will. Now, the emergence of these security outfits, the Amotsekun, the Shige Kafasa, and also the Eastern Ogbunigwe. Do you think that the call for community policing is overdue?
Long overdue. Why it's long overdue is, don't forget that, whatever happens in a community, the community leaders will always know. The people will always know. And this is what this new security outfits are meant to do, complement, because they know the people. So I think that it is high time we remove politics from everything we're doing in this country. Our problem is that everything in Nigeria has been politicized. It's either my own person gets it or nobody gets it. And then it boils down to the fight on corruption. This government is not fighting corruption the way corruption should be fought.
Francis Chilaka, political analyst, thank you very much for your contribution on News on the Hour. And still in the news, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has disassociated itself from the protests at the Abuja residence of a Justice of the Supreme Court, Mrs. Mary Odili. The party's Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Yakini Nabena, who said this at a news conference on Wednesday in Abuja, narrated that some protesters who identified themselves as APC supporters were sponsored by the opposition party. Nabena also described the protests as a ploy to portray Bayelsa APC governorship candidate David Lyon as his supporters in a bad light. He called on the judiciary to ignore the opposition party's antics. The Bayelsa State House of Assembly has elected a new speaker, Abraham Ngbobre, who represents Brass Constituency 3. Ngobere was nominated as Speaker following a motion moved by Bernard Kenebi, a member representing Sagbama 2, and seconded by Wisdom Fafi, a member representing Kolokuma and Opokuma 2. It took over from Monday Bobu Obolo, who represents Southern Ijaw Constituency 2. Obolo said the step aside as the Speaker to pave the way for a lawmaker from Bayelsa East Senatorial District in the spirit of power balancing following the emergence of Senator Duyo Diri as the state governor. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed March 25 for the hearing of the 1 billion naira fundamental rights enforcement suit instituted by activists and publisher of the Sahara reporters Omoyele Sowore and Olawale Bakare over the alleged illegal detention prior to the release in December 2019. Sowore and Bakare, who were being prosecuted by the federal government on charges of treasonable felony, had in November 2019 instituted their separate suit against the Director General of the Department of State Service, Yusuf Bichi, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN. Despite being granted bail on 2 occasions by different judges, the defendants were only released in December 2019 when domestic and international pressures mounted on the government to obey court orders. At the resumed hearing on their fundamental rights enforcement suits on Wednesday, Justice Eyang Ekwo in separate proceedings fixed the hearing of the 2 suits for March 25 after granting the applications for some processes filed out of time by parties. Sowore was present at Wednesday's proceedings, but Bakare was absent. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has said the inclusion of Nigeria in the list of countries under the U.S. travel ban was a shock to the country. It described the ban as unwarranted because of the contribution of Nigerian professionals to the U.S. economy. The minister spoke during the visit of the United States ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Leonard, to his office, just as the ambassador said the ban was temporary. Leonard had said the visa ban could be resolved between the 2 countries if certain conditions were met by the Nigerian government. According to her, Nigeria needed to meet information sharing goals before the decision will be reversed by the U.S. She said the ban was based on U.S. concerns over the need for information sharing and not about character definition, adding that student visa was not included. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has commended the federal government's decision to sign the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. The National Vice President of MAN, Ali Madugu, made this known in Kaduna, the Kaduna State capital, during a 1-day sensitization workshop for the local manufacturers in the state. Madugu says if the agreement is properly implemented, it will boost the nation's economy, attract investors, combat smuggling, and grow local manufacturing.
Manufacturers in Nigeria that have a very major concern on the issue of Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed by Nigeria, and there is a lot on it that is going to affect us manufacturers. So the issue of sensitization is that we at MAN level, we have been advocating on how this thing could come without really affecting manufacturing sector negatively in Nigeria. Government should know what we are signing. Nigerian government should know what they are signing. They should know the pros and the cons. They should know the advantage and disadvantage. They should know the areas that we should improve in terms of manufacturing in Nigeria. That was why we are saying caution, caution, caution.
Still ahead, 2 Iranians died after testing positive for coronavirus. This and more after this break. Libya's internationally recognized leader on Wednesday dashed hopes of quickly reviving U.S. ceasefire negotiations after his side withdrew, saying talk on them resuming had been overtaken by events as Eastern forces continued to shell the capital. A near-year-long battle for control of Tripoli worsened on Tuesday when the eastern-based Libyan National Army, the LNA, of Khalifa Haftar shelled the city's seaport for the first time. The port is a major entry gate for wheat, fuel and food imports, but also supply base for Turkey, which has been sending arms, drones, trucks and soldiers to help Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj fend off the LNA, which is supported by the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan and Russian mercenaries. At least 3 people were on Wednesday killed and 6 others injured during an Al-Shabaab attack on passenger boats in Mandera. The owner of the boats told Capital News that they are still looking for the driver who sustained injuries on the hand as he sped off. This incident occurred at about 11 a.m. 3 passengers are dead and 6 others are injured. The driver only gave his name as Abbas said on telephone. A senior police officer in Mandera has confirmed the incident. The bus was carrying more than 60 passengers to Nairobi. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo took a veiled swipe at China during a speech to Ethiopian business leaders on Wednesday in an apparent amplification of U.S. criticisms that Chinese lending for big infrastructure projects pushes poor countries into debt. The Trump administration is seeking to counter significant Chinese influence on the continent with its new Prosper Africa trade and investment strategy and a newly established development financier, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. Analysts say the latter is Washington's attempt at an alternative to Beijing's sweeping Belt and Road Initiative, which seeks to link China by sea and land with Southeast and Central Asia, the Middle East and Africa. Up next is our foreign news.
We can see our political class. Yeah, so there's nothing that motivates anybody to want to focus on education.
2 Iranians have died in hospital after testing positive for the new coronavirus in the holy Shiite city of Qom. The head of the city's University of Medical Sciences told Mehr news agency on Wednesday. Iran confirmed earlier on Wednesday its first 2 cases of the virus. Government spokesman Ali Rabi said shortly after reports that preliminary tests on the 2 had come back positive. The health ministry said earlier that the patient had been put in isolation. Rabi did not give the nationality of the 2 people infected, but some reports suggested that they were Iranian nationals. Up next, federal government, state and local government councils shares total of $647.35 billion from the Federation account revenue. That's our business news after this break. The federal government, state and local government councils have shared a total of $647.353 billion naira from the Federation account revenue for January 2020. This was disclosed in a statement on Wednesday by the Deputy Director, Press and Public Relations, Henshaw Ogbike. According to Ogbike, the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, in a meeting chaired by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mahmoud Issa Dutse, dispersed the fund to the 3 tiers of government. FAC confirmed that for the month of January 2020, there was a significant increase in import duty revenue, while companies' income tax, CIT, value-added tax, VAT, oil and gas royalties and petroleum profit tax, the PPT, recorded decreases. Ahmed Idris, Accountant General of the Federation, says state and local government councils will receive additional funds from February following the implementation of the 7.5% increase in value-added tax, the VAT. Idris made the assertion on Wednesday while speaking with newsmen at the sideline of the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC 2020. The theme of the retreat is efficient federation revenue allocation as the nexus for national economic diversification. Idris said that the federal government remained committed to increasing the contribution of the non-oil sector to the nation's revenue base. According to him, states are also being encouraged to tap into the vast potential that abound in their respective areas to increase their internally generated revenue, IGR. Still ahead on Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. We'll be back in a moment.
That money will shoot every person that we know can shoot. We don't let people die there.
You could have killed me for a long period of time.
Since that time why I carry gonorrhea. I first go hospital first, but it didn't no go. Now I come make that mama.
He just pulled it, he pointed and shot.
What is the soul of a man?
They suffer too much. They suffer too much. Issues around the Nigerian police, we have to tackle it holistically.
U.S. rapper Pop Smoke has been killed after an apparent armed robbery. Los Angeles police told Radio 1 Newsbeat a man was shot at his home and later pronounced dead, although didn't confirm his identity. But his label Republic Records says it's devastated by the unexpected and tragic loss of Pop Smoke. Broadcaster and astronomer Heather Cooper has died at the age of 70. Dr. Cooper appeared on the BBC's Blue Peter and the Sky at Night programs, as well as presenting and producing acclaimed science documentaries. Her business partner, Nigel Hembes, said she had died on Wednesday after a short illness. That's it on entertainment. The very best in sports coming right after this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says January signing Odion Ighalo is in contention to start the first leg of Manchester United's Europa League last 32 games against Club Brugge on Thursday. The Nigerian striker 30 made his debut in a 2-0 win over Chelsea last weekend when he came on as substitute. The deadline day arrival from Shanghai Shenhua could be involved when the Reds traveled to Belgium in a round of 32 on Thursday, February 20, the club said on its website. Former Rangers and Aston Villa right back Alan Hutton has announced his retirement from football at the age of 35. Hutton started his career at Rangers, where he made his debut in 2002 and went on to win a Scottish title with the Glasgow Giants. He joined Tottenham in January 2008, winning the League Cup that season before he moved to Aston Villa in 2011, where he made 201 appearances before being released last year after Villa clinched promotion back to the Premier League. Hutton also won 50 Scotland caps between 2007 and 2016 and enjoyed loan spells at Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, Real, Mallorca and Bolton at various periods in his career. And that's our news roundup event at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I am Benny Ark.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
The Oshafa Pottery Center lies in the ancient village of Oshafa in Bwari Area Council on the northern axis of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It was established in 1991 as part of Mariam Babangida's Better Life for Rural Women project during her tenure as First Lady, showcasing the skill and creativity of women potters in Oshafa community. Sadly, the center, which was a major tourism attraction site and could boast of visits from former U.S. President Bill Clinton, former Egyptian military and political leader Hosni Mubarak, one-time British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and the former Swiss Vice President Ruth Mesler, has now become a shadow of itself. Plus TV Africa, in collaboration with Google Nigeria, alongside media practitioners, journalists, and social media influencers, visited the famous Pottery Center to showcase it as one of the important landmarks on Google Maps in Abuja, Nigeria.
Google Map has transit information for nearly several thousand agencies, which means transport agencies.
Twisted.
The essence of tree turning is for the wall to be round, for the clay to be even round. You can see one other tool here. That one is like a rag.
Out of that small.
How did she do it?
Wow.
If they didn't show you, it's magic. This is down.
Wow.
Magic. That's how stars do.
The range of beautiful products created include incense burners, teapots, beads, plates, candle stands, water jars, cooking pots, bowls, and flasks. The people of the Oshafa community have been relentless in sustaining this ancient tradition of pottery making, while they hope the government will come to their aid in terms of investment and well-packaged products for exportation, which will generate
Home dancing is a form of self-expression. Today on Not Your 9 to 5, we meet Sarah Bolas, a biologist turned professional dancer.
Master in the University of Texas School of Public Health. So Houston Baptist University as a biologist major, and then after that it was public health, epidemiology, and I did an epidemiology study on lead poisoning. My work experience has always been surrounded between a lot of sciences and biology major and everything. I worked for the Red Cross in Burkina Faso. I also traveled in Lebanon where I did an epidemiologic study on lead poisoning, which I formed a thesis out of it. Then when I came here to Lagos, when my father bought SCOA Nigeria PLC, I worked at Kirikiri in the logistic department doing all the clearing of the containers. And then I opened La Pointe Supermarket in 1997 and ran the supermarket also for many years. So I'm still the owner of La Pointe Supermarket, it's still there. Other people are running it, but I'm still behind the scene. I believe that when you have a spiritual experience, like I did in 2000, you search for something more than just what is available to you, what is under the norm, accepted as is. And so I was praying, and I had a very strong spiritual experience with Christ in the year 2000. I was a Jubilee child, and then I went and started with my Bible study. And in 2003, I was looking for more. So I was asking God, show me more. I am not happy. And then at that point in time, there was a lady who came from South Africa, and she was with us in the Bible study, and she told us, you can hear the voice of God. So we were looking at her like the woman is crazy. But we still had like this kind of skepticism. Then she divided us into 3 groups. Then she came to my group and she sat with me. I was petrified. I said, oh my God, I asked for something. I hope it's not going to happen today. I was like kind of like rebellious about it. And so, boom, she looks at me and said, Sarah. So she was asking us, this was an exercise. Be calm, be settled, close your eyes and hear what thoughts are coming to you about this person and ask God to tell you something about this person. So we did a whole round. Everybody was saying something. Actually, thoughts were coming. And suddenly she comes to me and she says, Sarah, and I said, yes. Out of the blues, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know me. She just came from South Africa. Her name is Una. Do you dance? And I looked at her and I said, yes, I dance in parties. No, actually, do you dance? I said, when I was a child, I used to do ballet. I used to be a ballerina from the age of like 3.5 to 16. But I was kind of overweight, so I stopped dancing ballet. And she said, no, there's something here. You've got to dance for the Lord. That's what God is telling me. My friend, her name is Tanya Word, she says, you know what, Sarah, your world has become crazy suddenly. Let me give you a book. Maybe it will settle your heart. It's called The Purposeful Driven Life by Rick Warren. So she gave me the book, and I'm reading the book, and I'm swallowing the book. On the 5th chapter, it says, life is a test and life is a judge. So I said, okay, Lord, you are going to give me something that has to do with dance, that has to do with life, and it's going to be judged. So I fell asleep. It was a very early morning in May 2003. I'm about to wake up and I don't want to wake up because something is going into my mind. So I have my eyes closed and suddenly, boom, I see a building. I see dancers, musicians. I see painters. I see actors. They're all on scene. And then I hear dance. Then I see music, teach dance, teach music, teach acting. And 15,000, I hear 15,000. Is it 15,000 Naira money? I don't know. Everything was coming. Teach, give, build, a theater. Everything was coming up. And then I say, I'm closing my eyes and then suddenly everything disappeared. And then I'm like, okay, why does this happen to me? Then I look at my husband and said, I think I had a vision. He looks at me and said, uh-huh. So like we were like living in a very weird atmosphere. This week was very intense for me. It was May 2003. I will never forget. May 8 to May 15, 2003 was like unbelievable. So, boom, I go to my Bible study and I said, ladies, what is music, dance, and drama? And I have to dance for the Lord. I said, it's performing arts. So I have to do a school for performing arts. And I have to do a build. I didn't even know. I had to ask people, what is it that I just seen? So to tell you the truth, that I didn't premeditate it. It was something that came to me, and I had to ask questions. Because in France, you either have a music, a dance, or acting. You don't have the 3 together. Now in France, you have what they call conservatory. I was raised in France, so I came to the States, I was 18, but I never attended a performing arts center. I was in biology, for God's sake. How am I supposed to do dance and all these things, you know? It's like totally opposite field. So I found out that they are performing arts center. And one thing that was very significant to me at that point, I saw a pentagon. The Lord showed me a pentagon like the Pentagon of the United States, which is huge. And so now I found out that my land, where I want to build SPAN, it's at Echo Atlantic, it's a pentagon shape. So there were so many things and signs, so many things. And if you want to build the theater into a 3-double, it's 15,000 square meters. That's 15,000. So it's so precise that there's no way that somebody can create and invent something like that. So I had to leave everything But what pushed me to leave was not that dream. What pushed me to leave was the tragedy. Because September 2003, so God tells me, do this. Fine, I go on holiday, I'm having fun. I go back, we study the story of David. Then I found out that King David danced before the Lord. I said, okay, there's people that dance for God. Good. Lord, bring me those people. 8th of December 2003, I'm asking for singers, Christmas singers. And my friend Abby Ayoku, who is into entertainment, she tells me, you know, Sarah, you've been talking about David all the time. There's this group called Spirit of It. Maybe they sing too. I said, okay. She didn't tell me that they were dancing. She just said maybe they sing too. So one of the boys shows up, okay, the young man of Spirit of David, and says, so what do you do? He says, we actually dance for the Lord. And I was like, I was looking for singers. I pray for you people, and you bring dancers. This is unbelievable. I've never seen something like this. So it was for me a big shock. And so I go on holiday. I come to to Lebanon, and then on the 24th of December, and that's where everything started. On the 24th of December, you won't believe what happens to me. We get a phone call that my aunt and my uncle had left candle on the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree caught fire and they died asphyxiated. And they were the one who raised me. One is 24, the other one one was 24, one was 38, the other one was 52. So when they came in, I was under shock. We went to the village, we saw our family house, burned only with the trees. And so we are all like that, and we're saying, this is what's going on here? We're all devastated. They had to give me a pill. I was crying so much. I wake up in the morning. I call my mom. My mom said she's on her way to the airport. She's in Cotonou. And what she wants to do is go to the airport and take the flight to go to the funeral in Lebanon where the funeral happened. You know what happens? You won't believe it. 25th of December, my mother, my brother, the wife of my brother, my cousin, and the father of the wife of my brother rushed to the airport and changed 5 Air France tickets for another plane. And the plane crashed. So on Christmas Day, I buried my mother, my brother, his wife, the father of his wife, my cousin, my uncle, and my aunt. I went through 7 funerals. I actually buried 7 people. So you are going to ask me why I've left biology? That's it. Now, studying has given me an opportunity to raise myself as a human being, as a mature human being, to be able to lead people to grow. Today SPAN has affected over 15,000 people, between kids, between children, between teachers. We have graduated over like 200-300 students. We have had too many people who came through my house to learn. I closed down my garage into a dance studio. For like 5 years, they used to come to my house to learn how to dance. And then after they went to Lego Silent, when we moved with Lego Silent, went from one garage in Gerard Road to one small house in Bananas to now a 3-story building in Lego Silent. And it was amazing. So I see the power of purpose. And when I buried my parents, I buried my mother, not my father is alive, but I buried my mother and my brother and his wife. It's still fresh, like it's every day. So there's no way I can survive in this world of ours that is for me filled with darkness without giving light. And light is for me to dance. Light is for me to teach dance. Light is for me to bring joy and happiness and lead people to understand that the fruit of the Spirit are so important for you to survive every day. That you use your purpose and you do mighty things to make a difference. You pass it on. You don't just stay there. You just become just a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer for just the purpose of making money. You wake up and that gift that you have, you use it for a greater purpose. That is to serve others, to give back to others. So when I started dancing, even on the street, doing like ministrations and everything, they were telling me, Sarah needs to go and see a psychiatrist. She has issues. They didn't take it lightly, but my husband, some of my close friends helped me to launch the first thing. So they were supporting me because of the accident also and because they love me. But deep down, they were thinking, this is madness, you know. So I had like conflicting opinions, you know. And I'm so happy that I did not stop from wanting to continue what and until today I'm doing it. Until today. Like today at SPAN we're going to do a celebration for my birthday. It's on the 23rd. And what's going to happen is that we're going to be all together having Thanksgiving and thanking God and have 50 people out of 150 that are coming. So that's a lot of people. So it means that life where you're all together, community work, community exchange, making a difference, you know, that's what I look forward to every day. Respected in the field of having people to support. I'm OIBO, so they think I have already the money to build the center, and I don't. So having the Nigerian conglomerate and the Nigerian corporate agencies coming to tell me, okay, you know, Sarah, we love this idea. Echo Atlantic should have a performing arts center, and we're going to invest with you. That's what my challenge is today, is to get that. But I have other companies who help me. I mean, Tolaram Group, 7up Bottling Company, they're all people that are supporting me in my thing. But, you know, I believe that the ITB construction was supposed to help us construct everything in Echo Atlantic. We have a purpose. The vision is to build something for a city that will be the next thing for people to come and develop themselves. We have to believe in the communities and the land that we have. My Eros, my Unknown is about dance. It's about music. It's about drama. It's about giving